I say when we be my but some things need to be said in 10 Can you let's out to the basket, contain. Let's start with religion and these big ass churches. Pastors more paid than teachers and nurses. How the Christians they afford these big benches and nobody questions it from the pews and the benches. Everything get it for us and high price. Less quality teachers and more strikes. All night. These views might be leftist, but it's alright. Election time, politics by these novices. They empty their wallets and give us empty promises. How can I trust you when you say what you don't do? I vote for you, you work for me, that's the cold truth. Judgment Day, G-Dub report. I will get into this. One day go be, but one day will come. One day go be, but one day will come. They say the only time parliamentarians they agree is when they talk about raising their own salaries. The only time people go get bribe from me is never 20 and never anymore. Share traffic problems, so I know they had to build a mall there. Congestion is vexing, so the horns play. La Fire's rampart, all of we declare. Sweet soul, me I'm not a sincere. I hope every radio station hears me real clear. It's the middle of the dust, too much news talk, no fact checking. This be news, more beauty pageants and award shows. Why we have so damn many? Only God knows. Nothing ever starts from time and sanity. We need to step up game up, improve quality. And I came here to murder mediocrity. So that I starts here. One day go be, but one day will come. One day go be, but one day will come. Yeah, I've noticed that's our lives and showbiz. More hocus so bogus. More scout out the weed from Moses. This will not make me popular. Charlie, I know this. Ghana wants to be internationally heard, so I hear. But we don't treat each other fair. Chris Brown got paid, I'm in the leg for him. But you wanna put me peanuts? That's absurd. I know the levels make sense. Doesn't help, we make songs that don't make sense. Kindergarten raps and corny punchlines. And most tracks sound so horny most times. On the bright side, we get potential and tennis. We need to work hard. It's essential for the win. We can't take the cheat. It's taboo of a sin. I wrote this out of love. Sincerely yours. I'm that Vim. More just like to talk. But one day we'll be one day go be, but one day will come. One day go be, but one day will come.
Hey you left home? But with the Remitly app, you can safely send money fast to Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and over 30 other countries in Africa. With Remitly, you can track your transfer every step of the way. Download the Remitly app today.
Madam Asha, thanks for showing up today. And we are going to do a very good show today. And bear with me for 1 minute whilst I share me links and into also also the pakaka was be and share a link kakana. Share your links through your WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups in there. YouTube now will be intimate. And then you're about to discuss the IMF. What does it even mean? So, to my 1 minute now. Me clear my browser really quick now. You'll find successful. And some of me were a few gentlemen who last week not all ha. Ebe journey and net. Na dog nana. Nasus and then also about 8 of being who know about now. They actually I discussed what the IMF really mean. IMF no pay there. So see discuss me church again. Man for to say man for you who did the IMF. What is it? There. Until and you better discuss it. Bear with me 1 minute now. Me share no if anybody or what's super social or no so to me that they are shares see na ubi abas, so that we can increase. Now abas also please try and share. Share it, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Nah, I'm on for the song but so it's not about so that other people to come watch it. And that is what it's about. I think Kweku's already on, so I'll bring him up now. My channel and I are starting come on. Possible Uncle Kweku's name. the camera now, so that you know sometimes we feel a little awkward talking to blank screens, but and actually if you kind of do that. Woohoo.
Hello?
Yeah, Kuku.
Can you hear me?
Good evening,
Yeah.
good evening. We'll call the real online.
What?
I say we are live on. So
Oh, okay. I thought I was starting at 8.
yeah, we're already on air, so
Oh, okay. Good evening to everyone then.
yeah, we are Joseph. We are Joseph. And is it possible to turn your camera on and never go
No,
on?
not today.
Not today. Okay. That's fine. So and then I would like us to discuss the whole IMF issue because a lot of people are asking. We bring tears here. We see what's going on. Some people crowding there's some kind of apocalypse. And I'm sure in a few minutes Ghana will be no more. I'm on tears here. So, I've gathered a few people, including yourself, to come and IMF na a thing. Na about the same that you do her. And how is it going to help us? Now, if we can get through that, now we'll be at I think people will come home with their questions. Now, maybe to answer, no, you can do us a favor and you can answer us. Now, that's what. So,
Yeah, go on.
So, you can, any other things after that, we can discuss any other issues. But just so you know, at 8 o'clock, we go on the radio, we'll be live on High Life Radio at 8 o'clock. And and I'll share if you're driving, if you want to get out of the house, you can just listen to the radio and you can find us on that. I think what I heard today was that discussions has already started. Almost started discussions already. And by the end of Ochana, we will know whether we are going to be part of the program, IMF program, and I said if they are going to recommend something else. Now, I know, sir. Is it possible, sir, they can just say, they are sorry, they cannot help us? Is it possible?
Oh yeah, that's possible. But to start with, like IMF, it's more or less like a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's and most countries contribute to it. Even Ghana, we pay our dues.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's set up to make sure that the world economy, like the economies in the world, countries don't just start going bankrupt left, right, center.
Right.
So they are set up to support countries to make sure that the world economy is stable and everything is balanced and is in order, and we don't go through lots of recessions and depressions and all that type of negative economic growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and basically they provide help to countries to grow or to prevent them from getting into problems or to help them to get out of problems. So they provide policy advice. They provide experts to help you, capacity development to help you manage your stuff and do your stuff. And then they also provide money.
Okay. Money, free money, and I say, they're just lending you money.
No, most of the time they are concessionary. Like their loans have lower interest on it than on a normal, like if you go for a euro bond, you'll be charged anywhere 5%, 7%, 12%, depending on your credit rating. Like how Moody or Standard & Poor's or Fitch rates you. Depending on how high you are rated, on the market, if you go for a loan, they'll charge you anywhere between 5% to 12 or 15%. But IMF will give you at 2%.
Oh, okay.
Or lower.
Okay. The IMF will lower rate.
Way lower. Most of it is concessional. It'll be very close to zero. The difference is that IMF for the Sikamawa, they almost say headmaster, they make sure you do what you said you were going to do.
All right. I said Okoji mortgage, So down out the court, down out the court.
Now, so say they are also this kind of wire now, and they'll make sure you get it done so they can, what do you call it? They can get the money back to go and use it to help somebody else.
All right. So basically, it's a bank.
Yeah, it's a bank, but the rates at which they give you is very low, and they help you with assistance and all that. I mean, as compared to the other lenders, the Eurobond, the open market, international markets, I don't know. All you need to prove to them is that you can pay the money back. They don't care what you're going to use the money for, how you spend it, when you spend it. They are just giving you a loan. They give it to you at a higher interest rate, and then you have to pay back. So that's the difference between what the IMF gives you and then the open market gives you. So there is, what do you call it? There is this, normally the loans which most countries go for are classified as like the bilateral and then the multilateral ones, and then we have the market ones. The market ones is the Eurobond that we go for, and those other types. Those ones are open markets. The same loans they give to international companies, they give to countries. The bilateral ones are ones they give a cheaper rate. So that one is bilateral is like between two countries. So like Ghana will get from UK, or Ghana will get from France, or will get from the US. And then the multilateral is the ones we get from like the World Bank and the IMF. And the Paris Club of Nations and those ones. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, if you're going to the bank, why are they calling a meeting first?
Because they are giving you a very cheap loan. They want to oversee your books and oversee that you get the thing done. What do you call it? The way they want to, so that they can get their money back. The way you promised. Because you see, compared, if we had gone to the open market, like the Eurobond, then we could have done anything we want. We just go and take the money. But here's the case that we've been downgraded. So the cost of going to take a loan from the open market is very high to us. They'll charge us a very high interest rate, so we can't go there anymore.
Into your credit score, yeah.
Your rating is your rating is the
open market now. Your interest rate is very, very high.
Yeah. And I mean and what is sad about our loans is that most of our loans we go and take the project we use them for. You know, when you normally go for a loan, the project you use them for, the what do you call it? The return should be higher than the interest rate, so that you can pay back the loan plus the interest. Because if you go and take a loan and then the returns you get from investing the money is less than the interest they are charging you, then you always be making a loss, and you can pay it back.
Okay, that makes sense. We have a lot of a lot of people. You know, okay. I think it makes sense. It is to say your credit score, like I say, your bubble saying it's and I say your struggle so we have to go to a multinational
Multilateral.
Lateral, and try get a loan. I'm gonna buy at a cheaper rate.
Yeah.
I know you. I am Brett said the aqua so Eurobond, all the other loans now.
Now multilateral loan we credit Yakodia, Editia, a car, a yede.
Oh, we are going to borrow to pay a lender.
Yeah. So, yeah, some of it is to pay a lender, and some of it is to balance of payments. Like we import more than we export into dollars.
Okay. The Bible you can't say the probably CD no. Then a bit jai for
it. You have spending be ha. Edia supporting a budget. Part of it will prop up the city, so that part of once the dollar is coming in to prop up our budget, it will
automatically
prop up
the
the city because there's more dollars coming into our system.
Okay, so first of all, I have your where on the screen. So if you want to, first of all, go through how we got the if we him because we said 2015. You call IMF. And year free 2019. Time during the election we had it being number 4 kind of the IMF. Who do we IMF on your papa and one more brave and IMF. So how come within the few years, 3 or 4 years, back to IMF?
I can see it on the screen. Is it on the screen?
Let me say it right now.
Yeah. So so this is where all our problems are actually. I mean, it's all our problems. So basically, let's start with the about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Most of it is the first 5. Our main problems have to do with the first 5. Now, the biggest problem, the root of all our problems, your problems in the root in the say, you import more than we export. Since independence, is a cocoa, not a yaton, money, and at that time it wasn't too bad because we weren't importing that much, so we were getting a lot of dollars from the what do you call it? From just selling the pure cocoa seed. And we've been trying to change that, but to me change it. I mean, our second export and third export, a still commodity, a gold, and what do you call it? Oil, petrol. Also, I don't see a commodity. Now, commodities. The problem with say exporting commodity, and they say a commodity price, determine.
Right.
And yeah, you bet me and they two price no more answer I don't know, it's just determined on the world market. On the London and the New York Stock Exchange, Brent and light sweet crude. Into a perennial problem, they say they be importing more than you export. And in your money exporting crown, in fact, one never buy home crown, and you Ghana for bottom never cool. Apart from cocoa, no home. Gold ne oil no home. If I saw no bar companies no any own companies. If I saw no background no munya dollars na no more sign repatriating in our home room. Yes, na dollars e be beka your system no e be anka because kakra na be ba your system no na your companies na am repatriating in our home room. Yes, na
first one say my exporting a crown and normally a raw material.
Yes,
it is oil crude no exporting. Yep. Cocoa na kata banana export yen fine yen
Yep.
chocolate fine a gold no so gold bars na yen fine yen
Yep.
watches na we just export
Find you
like
what the necklaces.
first of all no
Maybe-
ball from that and second so market no na determine price no nti in your watch abeka so okay what we my improving into a say
a Rolex into metal on $200,000 there.
okay.
You can what's been so price? Into
You know, the second one also. Companies are almost exporting animal winya from Ghana. Most of them in Ghana for. Which is the kind of background almost the kind of time come chrome and kakromo.
I'm very repatriate $8 in your chrome.
Akom chrome.
Into that you see in an onion there.
Hey, you hold on be she jacket.
Yeah.
You almost chaos in see land so I think.
I mean, because basically, senior they say the only way Ghana government yen is through royalties, and tax on profits. Now, tax on profit is a company and declare a profit that won't mean tax, You can tax on the loss. It is a accounting tricks kakribia unya tax nimpo. The obenyane a royalties,
So that's an enemy ball car. I mean,
yeah, you can tax on the loss. It means tax on loss. And you only need every day we need because every single amount to be our pass it through no.
So
and because
since when I started, yes, and I said it's always been like that.
The problem was that not we invested in the mining. We didn't want to take the risk. Into my companies instead of owning shares in those companies, we just said we are not going to own any shares in the company, but just take the royalties. Because you only shares in the company now, and then upfront cost now more drilling and mining. I can say it's but because we didn't participate in the drilling and the mining of the gold or the of the hydrocarbons, the oil, no, because we didn't take the risk when the companies were taking the risk, we also don't get any of the rewards. The only thing they pay us for is the fact that they are using our land, so they pay us royalties, and then the fact that their company domicile in Ghana, so they pay us tax after profits.
Oh, so why do you think that none of the government are trying to or like he's going to own shares? Just some of the companies now own shares that down here.
Yeah, Goldfields. We used to own shares in Goldfields, but yeah, a bit short term. Yes, you can into most of the time. The person yes think is into a long term to drill it or to mine it. Most of the time, you can say, "Oh, the amount could drill it. Munya and fast one. You the amount a tax and a royalties."
Okay. And hasn't embarked up for any debate, say maybe we should start.
Some countries do that, like Nigeria, Namibia, no more. Namibia does it for its diamonds. Nigeria does it for its oil. They have more. They have shares in the oil companies, so they own portions of the oil companies. It's dividends they get it. But I don't know. It means you took part in investing in yourself, and also I don't know who invested be. Usika kodimo.
If you have invested some of them into these companies, it will make easily.
So your priorities, any one of our problems. And actually, there are every point now raising any third point, structure of our spending.
Okay.
Third point, when we spend, you invest in places that we might emphasize. Say, the other year, say a government workers, and now the top to V8, and I say So populist in EMEA. If I so be you don't get a you are spending on consumption instead of spending on capital expenditure, capex, So you don't get any returns.
Unya income be free.
Unya income be a kind of kwa na eko so if I so be amba ho. So most of those problems it comes from our politics. You want to be popular, so you spend on things which will give you votes, but in the long term they don't help us in any way. Because talk of bribery will be say bribery is vote to man Sikano, what is Sikano? The same money could have been used to give a small and medium-sized company a loan so that the company will grow and become big and help. But Odikoma Obidekoto Akpeteshi because of an Odikoto rise because of open votes in tea. You see, the same money could be used two ways: one to invest or one to just for consumption.
Right.
Now, Okoje sika na interest yes 7% and not 10% and not 12% na what do you call consumption if I saw them never home.
So not as not just uni plans be out of paying Sikani Baku.
Exactly. And he say no. Should IMF no more to say a dealer. Drag a user name a dealer. Just say your cost any according to remission and your sample IMF for. Your connect buizi a draft na overwhelm yeah near sample IMF say chale your power chowa mumbo na we just go through that cycle because we don't invest it, we basically consume it.
Capital expenditure, right?
Yes, capital expenditure is basically capital expenditure. You have to invest in places which will bring you money. Invest in mechanized farming, investing in irrigation. So you invest in invest in productive sectors of the economy. Invest in even in roads. And it's man. It helps improve the economy. Say it come on any improve na unya companies be doors one ultimate tax you nyina nya sika bebre. Sika ne ba obetimi dey tua loans in the back.
Iti kweku posa aka kama me na I want to put us on radio. Na me no quickly na yanto aso. Iti for mutia ye da so High Life Radio na kweku cheche sa IMF ase we dey capture what IMF is and to say or chair yeah to say yakwaku pm IMF and na to say or chair say your bobusia na your bobusia ye betimi ede ye betimi dey aye adwuma ye benya ho mfaso a ye di betu aka no ye bobusia yedi enum basically yebo bosia yede yemfanya ade ade mfaso be man ye kuti abosia no nti de bia na te se ye san ko bobosia bio te se ya gba ma ye bobosia kra te se san ko bobosia de kuti abosia ena amia ba bedru baby aye wo sisi. I think that's where we are right now. Now, your co-radio Sinanka, Kuku, Etimi, Atwaso. Timama Kuku Aposikaka, Timuma, just a minute now. I am also with that. Shama, give me some few minutes so that we can continue this. All right, quick.
Why ready now?
Am I ready? I'm also. Mm.
Okay,
Yes.
we have got fourth one. First training. First one there, structure of economy. We import more than we export. The second one was to do with even those structure of our exporters. I mean, those who even export are foreign based, so they repatriate most of the money back to their countries. And a third one, we're talking about a senior a sikana yakobo hu busi akra no ye fine put to juma edin faso beba.
Right.
So now we're going to the fifth one. Fifth one, it has to do with all these, what do you call it? All these are connected actually. Fifth one, it has to do with your politics, you know. You spend it more than than we earn. Just a tax you know, idea revenue, no. Say abambenya tax you spend more than tax you be receiving. Yes, I know. Say per se balance budget now. See a couple Bosnia first. Beka ho. We are within the economy, so you bought Bosnia within the economy, you so can before you beat your balance your budget. Now the problem with Bosnia within the economy, no, they say Bosnia within the economy, no, and then they a bonds, the treasury bills, no. It's you are borrowing. The government is taking from the banks.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Say a government because the budget your boka bebrene because you say sika bebrene normally your budget is always in the deficit. Just say sika na from tax no and so yen into you say Bosnia from outside, near Bosnia also from inside. Bosnia from outside, then IMF from Bosnia, any capital markets, a euro bond, any outside loans near now. Inside loans, any treasury bills. Government better steer a banks better treasury bills, no. Individuals be better treasury bills. Now the problem with a government going so hard into treasury bills and rolling over, and then they say I buy the cut into treasury bills, not or come up a local economy anymore. Yes, business is no more country no more. Omunya a loans be and fine omojuma.
Okay.
Because government assistance is getting and say almost a small and medium sized business because juma. It's open loan now. No yet price near very high because government assistance. Because they are competing with the government and the government is supposed to be sovereign and the least risky what do you call it borrower now. I have very hard for small businesses or even medium or big size businesses to borrow in Ghana. If I say so company bina open say expand it now starting so export cry unya a loan be and fine ubenya loan no cry interest is very high because banks no almost what do you call it? Almost almost portfolio mono. Almost they treasury bills, more motor government bonds.
Okay.
In Grofona, almost be business mono. Started some more export. Is any more exports no. Almost you can cry expand your business and export too, because a buyer is getting meanwhile a buyer so on your productive you cannot or just you can on fine if you day and so bit your bills no or the atop petramo the Land Cruisers so those unproductive spending. Yeah, any crowding out your small and medium sized your businesses, because you are taking out the money which should be used by, because normally what a bank agent said or a savings no was circulating sikana ma if anything businesses no more in the area no so no multimedia business not if I want to buy not or the sikana but I'm back to a conformal saving with interest. Yeah, so the bank's job is to circulate it. Now they say sikana ka bank be circulate within the economy. Yeah, yeah, size of government, it affects us in a lot of ways because 275 MPs, regional ministers, district chief directors, the company, there were 2, maybe or 3, maybe or 4. I mean, assistant directors, all of it adds to the exactly. All of it adds to the spending. And that's money which could have been used to which could have been used to invest in infrastructure and the businesses who could have used those loans to improve their businesses, you can't get any because it's efficient. It's not pushing it into anything profitable. Any crowding out of the fifth one, structure of a debt. And then you can't have that. And then they say, your new finance minister, by friend is saying, Ken, a new loans or Euro market. Now, Euro market, no interest higher than IMF for NESA, multilaterals. No, the interest we pay on your loans, they say, higher than what we paid when we're borrowing from IMF and those people. So it makes it harder to service our loans. Now, I don't know. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Why do you think, sir, the advantage when a woman says, loans, every flutisa bonds, and now loan, every minister of say, country be or friendly to you to say be Japan, Canada, US, or member loan are interesting from Kaka. And I saw IMF and our bank loan.
The advantage is say only headmaster be because original so I can say they say. So you have your freedom to spend. What?
You got this in an your the Sikana.
Exactly. You have your freedom. Freedom to obey the But any problem? So Ghana say you Sikana. You need that discipline na. You be there. Here say be no.
Because you got the choir. Between the tallest is the two choir
So the idea economy grow. So now we have home fast one. We have home tax. And they put you back to sender.
Okay. Now,
yeah. So I mean, the last 2 points they are not actually that important because basically, if we don't have, if we had currency reserves. Bafebia anka idea we be see anka it won't affect us that much. Because anka will dollars be a Bank of Ghana. A large reserve, not just anka idea we be see you will really they find the anka in place till the world economy goes right. But at the moment we don't have anything like that because we are spending more than we can even earn. So there's no way you can build a reserve if you are spending more than you can even earn. So that point it doesn't even come in. To be resilient, you have to be generating surpluses and saving the surpluses so that you can be resilient in the future. But here's the case that we don't even generate a surplus in the first place. So building a resilience you didn't your budget the cry so they be a budget near deficit. Your budget is to balance because we spend more than we earn. Into you say a loan, probably supported budget now, the budget to create me a balance.
It's you know, I've never year finance minister be ababe with the budget. Night, sister young Kobobo Siam, so and I say, will be McKay Sikabi or be my grant to be so and so. Why is Adina who say, Sika generating 100 million? It's your budget. I be say budget now. Who can say, oh, yeah, budget over back say your budget. Now, oh, yeah, according to Sika, oh, it's Adina, yeah, man, ne bros, it's a Kobobo Siam. So why don't we just do a budget that fits what we earn?
Now, show boy, what corona for catch you be answer, Charlie? If you have a deal, honor, person you show, person, but campaign, and one is sure, and I'm I could do campaign. Why who show say, hey, don't worry. Remember when you my mama will be Yamope be my mama promises Messi 111 hospitals. Mom, may win you now, what do you expect? Because at the end of the day, it still has to do with discipline. So what discipline? You won't go and promise more than you can give. Now, if you promise more than you can give, then you have to find a way to give, or else people get angry with you and then they'll vote you out. And I didn't know one promise. They will not vote in the first place. But me, I still disagree with that because the first term you may have to do that, but second term no, only third term be able to. Second term no, can wait me strict. Because I mean only third term be able to. It is the first time crying you better say okay, I say mama bibi senior or me say vote to me about in. After second term be honest, oh yeah, discipline. I say, oh, they say I want to leave something behind it. I say, yes, you have to near me. Na sikani the koshe baby, you koshe places I be my emphasis. You invest into a mechanized farming, into irrigation, into creating a stable environment so that small and medium-sized businesses can grow. Because basically, small and business-sized businesses, we always have a problem because there's so much inflation, the currency is depreciating, if I say energy is very high, and what do you call it? Cost of doing business, bureaucracy is also very expensive.
Bribe,
so, what? Bribe, waste of time.
Yeah.
Bribe, waste of time, and this. Second term, no. If you can tackle all these things and stabilize the economy and help the businesses grow, you will leave something behind. Because basically, the here say, you bring your companies beer original money some bit me export your money. I mean, in Germany, they don't have that many companies that export huge. Just most of the car companies. There are 3 or 4 big car companies. It's not like they have like thousands of companies. They only say a few companies big no money so. Very big multinationals are on country. If you can build something like that, they will generate most of your foreign exchange income. You don't need a million companies. You just need to create a few small companies which will grow into big companies. If you just allow them to get loans, allow them to be in an environment which is stable, and you don't overspend and take all the money in the environment and create high interest rates. And if you invest in the infrastructure so that these businesses will strive, that's it. I mean, Ghana, you're planning.
Valco and a toll, and if say CMB, Cocoa Marketing Board, na okay, fans of Boise Gold Mines, thank you. There, these 3-4 companies could be exporting commodities and I say finished product. Now, I'm going to be brave, but that is in the
commodities the MY because we don't control the prices, but anka your companies be anka some companies that we mention
finished product, right?
Yeah, but almost finished product, they don't export most of it. Most of it was for the local market. Yeah, but we could have exported some too, and yeah, we but the point is that they can be part of the supply chain to create companies which add value to their products. They say a cocoa processing, and always a part of a value chain which creates big multinationals like Cadbury and Nestle. Well, it we create multinationals. They say Cadbury and Nestle, they'll produce chocolates, cocoa drinks, cocoa nuggets, sanyamana. Well, we can create big multinationals now. And foreign earnings, because then you'll be exporting a lot. I mean, and the funny thing is, you don't even need to export to the Europeans. You can export to other African countries and still get the dollars. Yeah. But the point is that you have to create a stable environment where the cost of doing business is low, so that your companies will be competitive and grow and become big multinational giants. You can have like
your last point, and then I'm active COVID in Ukraine as the reason why your baby away. But no matter up to even the sixth one, it's something that's already been happening in Ghana for a very long time. If you COVID Ukraine one, what part did they play actually? Did they play a major part? And I say
they played a big part though, but the problem is that foundation in yet. It is small problem beyond a year too. I mean, that's basically what's happening. A structure nankasa engineer na so the smallest problem na ajigo. That's basically what our problem is. So blaming the COVID is like blaming the what do you call it? The effect instead of the cause. COVID it helped expose it, but it's not the main cause. And then yet the main cause of the problem. The main cause of the problem, because say Anka the first 3 or 4 ones will be more resilient into COVID. It won't affect us like it's affecting us now, because then we'll be resilient. Well, and as I said, the economy is resilient, but we say because engineer and also the BI imported. Into every time we have less dollars than we need, we are chasing more dollars than we have. Into I mean, we keep on going around in circles. We are always chasing more dollars than we have, and so the smallest world shock, the BBI go Ghana. And if you compare us to most of the a lot of the African countries, you realize that it's affecting us more than most of the other countries. Even though it's affecting every country, it's affecting us more than a lot of the other countries. And most of these problems, we can solve them. Like, the importation, import rice and sugar. Yeah, we import rice and sugar, but those are the easy things that can say to me, say, a great sector, a well-run. We wouldn't need to import sugar and rice because we can grow them here.
We can grow them. Yeah. I mean, Volta region is not the region. I mean, I think in the 60s we used to export rice. Now, normally free.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, if we had a better structured agric economy, we'll be able to reduce imports of those things, and it will reduce the pressure on the dollar because we have to import that. And then they turn on our canoe. Because the problem with a fuel, they say, you could really fuel, you fuel, the crown now. You to me use fuel, just a processed fuel, any refined fuel, and say, with me using it. And also, it takes away some of our dollars. But if Tor was running, we could have just used some of the oil now drilling to process the fuel. So that's also another leakage of the pressure on the city will be a bit less. Right. Because then we won't be looking for dollars to buy petrol from outside the country. So those three things we cry, and those simple things crying into me. Just stop importing what you call sugar, rice, and then processed petrol, fuel, because you have an oil refinery. And they cry into me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Kwame,
I
let me
think
send a question, Kakra. Maybe send one question.
hold on 1 minute. Now,
Okay.
That's at least to say no. What describe it the idea be drew her. You know, my member Hansen and I was in Bremen. I think they might have something to add to it, and answer if they have a question about it. Now was it. So go ahead.
Yo, Madasi. For Kwaku, engines there. Ghana Banama, Uncle Futum, the one crans a mambra. A man into no Madame Mazina and watching about because, say, that man paying full whiskey one crans a manamba. Ghanaian songs about tomorrow fight why one Nazi and I'm a boy.
I said, how can they create? I mean, but the point in this, say, own person for cranium. All you need to do is increase your import levies, your duties. It will discourage imports and encourage local growers to grow more because they become more competitive. But here's the case: in this, your local economy, we are not making it competitive, and we are also not charging import duties to make the imports less competitive. Into Edema, idea with me produce or China, very cheaper to produce in China than producing it in Ghana. If you create a situation like that, people will always be importing. So at the end of the day, government they cause a problem because in the first place, say open say a starting business na cost of electricity you higher saying obi over China. O cost of loan na okoje you higher saying obi over China. Or administrative cost you higher saying obi over China. What normally happens is that nipa na okosi factory no China no say oye product now oye product over Ghana ono ne dey no be you e be cheaper saying o dey no. Yes na all products are more expensive than China. China need the a better sell because on with me at a cheaper price than you. The problem is that
cost of production in Ghana is so high. Say, even when somebody goes build a company, or go see factory or China, not or China, not or science ship back cheaper than the area in Ghana.
Yep. It causes those type of problems because of because I mean China okojilo na no you're charging an interest rate of 3%. Now okojilo na charge interest of 17 and that's a 23. What the difference, Only interest, very low interest. Oh, you have very high interest. Plus China the cost of production is lower because first class. If you uncle a spare part to repair the cars every weekend, on change it tire every day. Because a very good first class. The cost of electricity is cheaper because almost country almost energy efficient and electricity now or producing products cheaper than all there. Into first. His loan is cheaper. His cost of production is cheaper than you. His cost of distribution is cheaper than you. How do you expect to be more competitive than him?
Okay. It all boils down to first 7 now, first 6 now. Let's say the problem that's sure. It's right from the beginning. We are handicapped.
Yeah, we are handicapping ourselves just because we are spending more than we can keep our government small enough and more more productive. Yeah, because if you can keep that, then it means you start eating eating the capital the businesses will need to run their companies. You are eating it up and making their cost of capital very expensive.
you don't get enough to invest in any capex. Nina, no, to say, would it or workers car?
How did you work a scar? Meanwhile, no, oh, short a business is no more country. No man come here says he can dear your business. Dear man, oh, short to so you are creating a double problem. What? You can over investing in anything profitable. Businesses and local business and communities can business factories now move expanding to create goods, no, and exports, no, and that's what we finding because what's the saying in
Okay. Now I was the answer our question.
Yeah, it's not much. And the last question, that Russia and Ukraine war. Munda one answer, but still mentas papa wo because you do tomatoes and war Ghana, Banchi Brazil, and you BBA or Ghana. And so then a Russian Ukraine what one bomber. Ghana, no. I'm watching baby again. One last question. Munde ya no mom, but I still don't name.
Hold on, Kaka. Na ya abaso na ya unchia Kaka. Also, some of the questions will be to me. I help her with the answers. Naya, you're welcome. You can watch it.
Mr. Namyadom. I try to half, right?
Half.
Yeah. I know Kasa said we could break a crown. I'm ready to see I'm rather.
Yeah, it's been almost a year now, right?
It's very interesting. Anyway,
Kweku has been generous enough to take us through reasons that country which na edu baby atese okusiki help from a multilateral like IMF and our World Bank so now questions time na you be answer na to our conversation so ya fa Ghana as a country na ya can want you know and I was over to our question this one.
Yeah, it's an American way. My partner on you command sana because minima as a cry to Russia or on Ghana. Minima as to Ukraine one now or fight Ghana. Apart from Michelle.
Yeah. The woman in the say Ukraine war now impact there one. Sometimes so dissect impact. You can't be impact. Say you are kind of generous, but you still need to go fair and ask the question: what degree of impact in there? Because something can have minimal impact, but it still has impact. So often they are mature, no. In the come on, you did as when you sophisticate crowd. Excuse me to say, when you are some bit here, now I hear because the all kind of impact has impact. But the question is, what is the degree of impact? Is it even material? In our circumstance or it's not material. So our assessment is just say something has an impact, you know. I mean, and leaving it because we are talking about two things, right? You say COVID and Ukraine war. So the weight of impact might not be the same, right? It is all go further. Now you say, okay, which one has a higher impact and how does it affect Ghana in yes specific situations? And how do you be saying Ukraine Russia war impact the one in the set. Russia about your oil production like in Fango crude oil. Russia accounts for almost about 20% of I think the market. And they supply a lot of Europe also gas and that's for so on the amateur. Inti say war basana sesiano countries ni nyina say war na wako attack Ukraine into Western countries led by US, Europe for say crude oil. When you make that decision, and you may not make that decision, there will implication be brave because it takes time to transport crude oil from one market to the other market, right? And yes, sir, it takes one day just to take that crude oil through and then send it to get it at the filling station. There's a whole process that goes on. Into where what it means is now Europe they will have to rely on other source or what? Crude oil, right? Because they need to power their industry, they need to get, things going. And what that means is say, as I say, any many no make this decision. Supply no one no money pressure also because now Anka Russia the other can na ama the supply situation are normal, I stabilize, right? So see in the short term no there. We understand that just pressure about that supply kakra na also. In the short term no, it leads to what increases in crude oil prices. So and then ama in the short term, yeah, Russia need Ukraine for 5 months. Also, crude oil price hiding, but with time, some constraints will begin to loosen up, and then those that have capacity to produce more will begin to supply more into the system. But it only take time. It might take some people 3 months, 4 months to begin to ramp up their storage facilities and production facilities and increase their supply onto the market. In the interim, the Ukrainian war causes global, pressure on the supply of crude oil, and that affects every country across the world. So that is one of the impact of the Ukraine or the Russian war. So it is not coming from Ukraine in this case per se, because Ukraine is not a global player when it comes to oil production in the international market, right? But Ukraine also supplies some other things that other countries depend on. In this case, but it's a wheat and some other things.
Wheat, I think they are the foremost.
The foremost. Egypt, other people rely on Ghana crime say importing wheat be free Ukraine.
Yeah, for our poultry industry, most of the wheat.
Just poultry and for the year
bread.
Into Russia, Sadia affected other countries or more depending on wheat. And yes, other countries who say a problem. Or one can somewhere be no more export crown, they will start stopping to export more because one will say BB, say yeah, and preserve the EU. Now, yes, you can see exporters and the normal now. Ukraine here we ban in Yasa wheat now, how much
Uche say wheat shortage, it may affect a brokerage. Never say country on own dear bro, export your bro no more. They say I own your wheat in top, so keep your bro on the chrome.
Exactly. Substitute.
Instead of wheat
It was a or they what we call the ripple effect in terms of
domino effect.
Exactly, leading to some other things. But impact, depending on country specific situation, who circumstance be different, right? Into Ghana buying immediately, we are not going to export maize again. Ghana buying because the implication there, ban so one started and reacting. Now would say what we say of course what category near Busra. If you do them, wheat now sakra now substitute crowd man, you won't get it in your country. Other countries began to take other measures. India, some other country, just to secure and look at the environment and see if something will change. Impact is varied depending on which country, and your Egypt say it's going to hit them very hard, right? Because they depend on a lot of wheat from Russia. You can imagine what Egypt are. Wheat issue never affect you more. Now oil issue need a global, it will affect you, right? More. This is the impact.
Oil, because Russia, at the oil 20%. We are saying oil no produce 20% now. They say Western countries in this amount tom free Russia hono. They are market 80% now can na yen nyina free ho.
Exactly. And oil price issue happen. Because in many you need to be supply oil no to the market in the short term there are constraints because oil in here bibia I say so ba na ehwe no. Something has to happen maybe 2-3 weeks, 1 month down the line before you even see the oil at the filling station.
Okay. Let me say this. Different thing Ghana, top oil free Nigeria for because I'm not going to say Ghana say you importing free Russia, but all they say Ghana top free Nigeria for now England top free Nigeria top free Russia, but they say top Russia there no almost better Nigeria there.
Yes, you have to find other sources. You have to find other sources because I say you have a fixed bucket of 100, right? In the global market and a 20 official. So 18 can I say near corporate near by a country. And then and many Ukraine like petrol price now then across baby and even America. Biden acknowledge say the Ukrainian war and the impact on their courses are in many so our reserve your baby, you can release it. But and no should be released reserve and yet 2 weeks as more. It takes like there's a process. It could take a month, 2 weeks to get that results on the market for you to begin to feel the impact at the fuel station. And a country that has an efficient transport system that can transport the crude oil and process it and take it through the process. Now a country who need an efficient system to do that, it can take you 3 months to even get to you at the final pump. And this is Ukraine-Russian war now. These are the indirect implications. But yes, on top of that, it creates another thing we call uncertainty, right? Nobody likes uncertainty, right? People don't know what is going to happen next. Once you have uncertainty, it leads to other different decision-making processes. So one can say, "Who you be now? You're certain say, I 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time. I mean, normal. Who say our planning is different? But so when you're certain, who say, am I planning ahead?"
Yeah, we put some things on hold.
On hold. Suddenly affecting global business, the way decision making goes around, and if you collectively put all that together, then there's an impact in terms of global, market, and that's how into Ukraine, Russia war. Say Russia for crude oil yentono. Anka time now, baby yes, what the man to Russia oil no. And now if Iran for start supplying now. Maybe the impact would have been minimal, right? Because Iran has the capacity to supply more. But can we say geopolitics into Iran also no nuclear deal or more restricted Iran. Iran crown also no. Into one say there are some compounding effect and other effect that US also is Ukraine say, oh, you're not issuing to supply Iran, you're not issuing to start to supply. The oil and say, okay, be my Iran supply. Me, I'm releasing my reserves.
Big show because Libya and Iraq so along almost
into one say, I'm way put in feel say when you leverage kakrano or bit me squeeze obia because office or then kakra. But I mean, at this point, Nigeria say other countries no more supply, they begin to increase their capacity to try to supply more, but it will take time. And it will take maybe 6 months, depending on the lag. I can't give you the lag, but I know it will take time. It could be earlier than 6 months, 7 months before those oils will come on stream, and then the supply situation will begin to normalize, and then the pressure on prices will begin to come down. Into US and the reserves in the then anything else Russia oil price now started moderating to some extent because Ukraine at the end is causing a bit of uncertainty and recession, and people are not going to demand a lot of crude oil, right? Because they are not too sure about the future, right? And if you're not demanding too much oil because you're not too sure about the future, you're not going to engage in, production, right? If you are producing 100%, you'll probably cut it to 80% because you're not too sure about the future, right? And then your pressure on demand for crude oil will come down. That will bring the pressure price to begin to stabilize and clear again. This is how the market clears itself. And constraints its impact how the market works efficiently. Anything like crude oil prices affected everywhere in the world. And Ghana, we are a net importer of crude oil. We can net importer. If you're a net importer of crude oil price cost let us say first one not too much, right? Because even though we produce crude oil, you import more than you are exporting, right? The only way you can play around that is maybe use what you have to hedge against price increases. But Ghana, I'm not sure we are doing hedging when it comes to crude oil price. We are just allowing the free market forces and buying it at whatever market price it is as of any time. Ghana, even though you produce a net importer, which means that we need more dollars to go and buy this crude oil, even if it is available, right? And so, pressure, can the balance of payment, you need dollars to go and buy crude oil. That's our reserve. We need balance of payment reserve. And now, Madam Fonaka seminar, we need to find crude oil. Now, what can I say? Now reserve no sign. People will start queuing in Ghana for gas and fuel, and it will start creating uncertainty on businesses. It will start creating panic. A lot of different things, just like Sri Lanka, what has happened in Sri Lanka. You don't want to get there before you go and seek IMF negotiation because IMF also It takes time. There's a process you have to go through. It takes 6 months, 3 months, sometimes depending on the situation, it could take 9 months, a year. Until you want to be proactive early now. 6 months, 7 months, so already have no crack off a man. Every do any be our clock day, be foreign currency, be able to I continue to get the imports that you need to sustain your economy. Into no planning time in we a manager, you have to think through some money and see. And yes, things will take you by make us say big storm. You can anticipate it and then react and cushion the impact or effect that it could have on you. And that is why good managers need to be aware about the global environment, the global players, the geopolitics, and as I money possible to be able to manage your situation better. This is what response I'm about Russia-Ukraine war. This is in the sense in which they say it. But what kind of trust I know in Chichimwa, people get confused because
because tomatoes in Burkina. Russia and Ukraine are not tomatoes right there. People don't get it.
But there's one direct factor. Can I help here?
Yeah, help because we help with that.
Yeah, there's one direct factor which also made it worse. You see, Russia, when you produce oil, you produce fertilizer. So NPK, you know, fertilizers, you import.
Right.
Most of the ingredients for making fertilizer in Europe are coming from Russia.
Okay.
Fertilizer now, so they did your tomatoes. And he said fertilizer bob and I said short to about affect tomatoes, you know, whether you buy it from Burkina Faso or you buy it from Ghana, because fertilizer now would be fertilizer tomatoes no bob.
That's true.
And even tomatoes to cry when you finish the tomatoes, you know, how to even transport it is also more expensive because what?
Sorry, after me,
Oh, okay. So even when you finish producing the tomatoes, you still have to transport it. And because fuel prices have increased, it also increased your transport, your distribution of tomatoes, your distribution cost of tomatoes. So if you may not think it's directly affecting you, but it still affects you because even with the wheat, you know, the bread.
Right. Inputs to many other things.
Yeah, and we don't produce enough wheat for even our own country, so we have to import some of it. So it will increase the price, so you still end up having to pay for it. So into Russia, they back out because your food security 100%. Your food secure. They say America more your friend is reserves of food and you need into you need food security. Into food shortage will be here. We are competing with Togo. Say Ghana farmer say Okodua but he has two options, either to sell it to a Togolese person or to a Ghanaian person. Nipa no man higher price no bet man.
That's true.
So that will increase your price because if Togo is priced at a higher price. Yeah, so anyway, that's part of.
Yeah, into IMF plano. IMF someone who said they have a lot of surveillance. They survey the surveillance. They look at the global economy. They get a lot of data, right? Because they have about 193 members that make up the IMF, right? So they get a lot of data from all these member countries. So what the IMF are? You're able to see the big picture, right? You're able to see all the landscape. You're able to see everything that is happening in the global economy. So you're able to make the connections and the dots better, right? And IMF itself knows that Russian-Ukraine war has impact. So they are not stupid people. They know what they are talking about. It's because they have data, they can see. So once you have data and you can see now to one man, you appreciate what they're saying. But oftentimes, most of us are not in that realm, right? That is not our job. We don't supervise the global economy. So we don't collect data. All we are sometimes restricted is our little corner. And Russia-Ukraine war, IMF even recognized it has constraints on economy and the global system. And this is where sometimes in political science, you can say power. In political science, you can power. There are so many sources of power. One of it is your geographic location, right? One of it is the resources that you have. So you can power. What gives you power in the global space? Ubu hand oil no one and then the power. With me, Eddie, near maybe from other countries and it's me Eddie negotiating the way on other things. About Ukraine, power, oil no more supply Europe. No, it gives them a lot of power and leverage when it comes to dealing with Europe. So I'm saying now, geopolitics, countries do also on the geographic location, the power. My more example, Eritrea. Is it Eritrea or Somalia? I think the US will establish a base, all right? Because of a specific geographic location now, connection between like Egypt or the what do you call it?
The best Panama
Canal. Panama Canal, right? Shares our location, you need that strategic route to be able to easily cross to the other one.
Yeah,
side.
between Asia and Hana,
it gives them, because of location, that is power for them. They can use that route to, squeeze the whole world if they want to. If they cut that block off, South America, it will have greater impact in terms of economic. Geopolitics, countries try to use this power to try and make influence around the world and get what they want. And in this case, Russia thought they had the power, they had the oil. If Europe, they would just shut the oil, and the whole of Europe will go, on a gas supply.
Especially winter time, see. Russia be nothing. Because during winter time, no more shut your gas now. I'm a heat wide.
Exactly. And about China say we need Russia air delay at this point in time. And so making sure say backups and you can call their bluff, but if you call their bluff, you just don't call their bluff by word of mouth. There has to be an action plan where if you call their bluff, you can supply Europe with needs so that you don't starve the people. And that is the power that Russia is using at this point to try and get it way on Ukraine, right? Even though they are Western sanctions.
Answer no question. Answer.
Yeah. So Kwame, meaning say of ayane kwaku omo kasa bebre. So the question comes back to Minister for Agriculture. You say a year ago, okay, said no Burkina Faso no who say your friend is a frumu said some fertilizer, no, right?
Right.
So into which means reserve now Ghana no. I'm fan say yes store those fertilizer around for farmers, no. Say I'm just now wama obi I area the call Burkina Faso. Now and now be catch me say a year later I'll be catch me say Russia-Ukraine war now. I don't agree with that one, no, because what department, no, when to me and you was said here. Now a commerce you Ghana now o catch me say Russia Ukraine a hono menene nyaadwen. Number one question be makwaku the question I me person me be say normal kind for IMF no metina say so worst case scenario say what host 16 times the 17 times be a leader no hono obetimi aka say oh high risk because Wells Fargo amount credit now one to me now call one main financer or credit score no totally different from Wells Fargo right now no approve this in that case what is the next step on my Ghana because without IMF no yent me BBBA not say decline this time around now what is the next option for
that question holding a bedroom start to say ya get winning no I want us to move step by step. You drew one now. I think that will be about our fourth question. The second question, I think your time because you have to run through this a little bit quicker. The second question is to say whatever the situation is, that Greek minister and one knew whatever. I mean, the government already knew. Say this is not the first time you're having issues. There was the Iraqi war. There was Iranian and the West tension. They say every 3 years we are BBC we ask them a shot. All governments around the world should be aware. Say But the reason why I choose is say your government is in case of issues like this, you can tell us through smoothly. And man, name the yeah. We see as say but moving on, they say IMF now to say how are they going to help us? Kwekubedi Council na doctor they are to Kweku IMF say how are they going to help us through this problem? Problem the match soon. How are they going to help us through this?
There are two main ways they help us with it. The first one is a credibility, policy credibility, and then they say no. Obi abehwe Ghana oni say IMF gina ya so nti ye be discipline ye ho. Yenko yourself. Yenko dim yourself. It gives the country more trust. Say we person my alone him say oh IMF gina ho there's an adult in the room nti they'll make sure they do the right things.
Right.
Yeah, any political credibility, it gives us my rating a bit better. Yeah, what do you call it? Your credit rating is a bit better because Obi say, oh, so only IMF it didn't get a one day only, and then it means that homogeneous so much also send out to me any bad thing. The second thing is that they'll give you loans at a very low rate. Interest now bit you. So you can use it to service some of your what do you call it? Also service some of your other debts and also roll over and also or they support your budget depending on what you agree with the IMF. And then the third thing is that they may help you with expertise. Yeah, those are the three things the IMF will help you with: the credibility, some expertise, and then cheaper source of finance.
Okay.
Kwame, me one you for the first kind
Go ahead.
Okay, so okay, more credibility, right? So the question is, that credibility not the amount, and yet towards foreigners, because it seems to say, oh, pay foreign investors now about Ukrumu or so Mumbai invest or Ghana, right? Until you call IMF so mbeba no more do musika then aba. But at the end of the day, so moba no mu establish those businesses now more na profit, it will still leave the country. So why say yet that same circle no?
Oh, okay. IMF who they only solve your short-term problems. So into your moment, almost solve first one and the second one in my world. The best of one short-term problem, and they are overspending, no, and a cost of loans, no, and no one almost over my world. They are cutting in no one. I saw you also. Into most of the time, you call IMF now. The other is stability. Kakra no mama bibia settle down. Now, in your settle down instead of you be focus say you be build the economy and aman less commodity based and more productive. Yeah. Na yasan ko din se hu sa ko say sika ne sa na yasan ko back. Inti ya it say drug user. They be use drug na go back to your dealer say oh my another shot. Because we problem they say you solve may underlying problem, roots problem, IMF no more they say, oh yeah, woo. Into they come to resuscitate you. Say that just to resuscitate you, and yet to help you solve your problem. Short-term support, no more. Send ya a original nice biome. Now original nice now so could same biome. Then you go back to square one. And they BIA because they'll give you policy credibility and make your cost of borrowing a bit cheaper. They are only borrowing into your mouth cost of borrowing, no more better credit rating. So all the coaching loan, the other loan to buy and then who here. So yeah, they be why not your best stable in your credibility now. Yasako says he can be. It's a vicious cycle because your mouse have opportunity now. And I can start to say, oh, let me invest in the long-term, what do you call it, health of the economy. Let me cut down my government and let me make sure that I don't increase amount of spending in the public sector and increase my spending rather in the productive sectors of the economy, not in the consumption, but in the productive sectors of the economy. But we don't do that. We always invest our money in our mouth. Maybe a better election and the candidate thought to a rise ne akpeteshima for say move to my.
Oh, okay. Okay. Doc, could you be best also? I think Doc. Okay. Capricorn, you're welcome. Hello.
I'm saying Doc and mute no who no kasa.
Doc.
Baby, we're freezing here.
Doc can freeze you.
Okay, that's all right.
Who come here and ask Oka Hansen?
No, not want to make me bizarre. So, Hansen question, would you be best also because we could try to answer.
Yeah, so Kwame, who say me know where the come be there? Emma me catch her say that we do this alcohol so you have to show. Because I showed you what the strategy was that we were doing, right? And I told you, say, at the time I'm not confident by, and I showed you the strategy that we were using. Say, we were trying to buy time with Yakano, right?
Yeah. Now, yeah.
And I'm really also we have to show.
And I was proving right. I saw too young one say.
Right, it's because I think that's all what is going on now. And you know, just to go back and give a context background, where we came from, right? So to begin with, Ghana, since Kwame Nkrumah started an industrialization project, now YNTB and Fanko anymore. Man, call down. Now somebody started Ghana experimenting in state enterprise, right? Near the Sikashim. They say young running, you son and go for running. So state enterprise, corruption.
Ghana Airways.
Ghana Airways now. I'm sorry, do now more. It is in the Mokai, but where I won in the 60, 70 beyond the back other companies are. Exactly. Into your experimented in Abia, you say. So I didn't bind the nuclear man go for mistreated. They don't handle it with care. A lot of things happen. Inefficiency no also. Ghana Telecom is a typical example. Right? Into no experiment in our history. But say companies in now it's me jina and gas industrialization my brother Nekano and Kabe boy, but intime engineer. And I acquire the experiment and the about 2 years. You say here sign industries, but here sign industries, we don't need better buying, we need it better private led. That is what the approach about for we use to make sure so the 1D, 1F from the private led. But prior to that, Kwame, your economy it's on a straw. Just say we are so much overly exposed. Can't be exposed, but the degree of overly exposed, is so high. Say BBC amanonia impact bit me affect you easily because son and brother you depend on your baby bonting, right? Exposure no high. Say nanka we are just depending on 20% of Nema here Bontia. Won't say no exposure and so sir. Into BBC shock no I be bow economy no. I bet it where bubit me manage. But me to see this year me fee say exposure is about more than 60%. And to think about a country that is exposed to the rest of the world, about 60%. Say BB Kranya see 10% krana and will ripple effect on the remaining 40%. Into the almost is here and say because of that, look, they have been trying to manage the situation. Long-term solution, politicians, I am not long-term solution is tough because Kwame, long-term solution, I who fruit and 4 years and go for into and then problem as a system no because you run democracy in the 4 years be a 2 a creating incentive be my politicians not to try and do the hardcore stuff, the difficult stuff, the long-term stuff that would really help country because of the pressure to sustain the political power. China, North Korea, South Korea, Singapore, let's say for now, they didn't have this democracy pressure year of 4 years election. So they had a very stable, like one president, maybe who lives 20 years, 16 years. Rwanda, technically, that is also playing out for Rwanda, Kakra, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's
they've
an
had
one-man show for the last 15 years.
20 years. In the other oh, yeah, be there. On himself, on too much of the pressures of losing the next election. But over a contest now, we don't have that luxury because last luxury we got it when Nkrumah probably stayed on for 7 years, right? And maybe Rawlings was the best person that got that luxury, but within Rawlings era, no, we couldn't pursue Sanima.
Rawlings on no buy next coming in our class.
Well, so we couldn't pursue Sanima with the brave. Intino, Washa, since 1982, near and Wabishim, and they say 4 years beyond Kotwaba. Now, come Marcos is Sika Kotwaba, then me catch your political campaign financing. The BC and one politicians in the Sika financing campaign. You are doing if you hold. You feel as politicians, or more as a bophobia, occupying the Sika no be the campaign. Or we need power, Kwame. It will be such kind of you know, 4 years now, Niamana, so yes, structurally, no our economy and no but 10 years continuous investment. Tibiana, we are bound for on yes, animal because his pressure to go and finance his political campaign, pay off debt, and at the same time, his pressure to do something quickly for you to see the result. Send a bear, he can come back to you and win the next election. And it's not this one industry, one factory. This anime say investing in every boy. Coming in, yeah. And idea too. But what this government ought to do in the share, okay. We also need to pursue this program, right? Into a moment strategy in the share. And yeah, say about na capital market, they say a be my opportunity to go and borrow. When say before Kofuano, na capital market name BMI so Kaya. We didn't have access to the capital market. It was, I think, Kufuor who went in first in 2007. And then it was just 900 million or something, 700 million, 900 million dollars. That was our first attempt. To just 2007, Yana, we started having enough access to the capital market, even though they were offers, but didn't allow for us because that's our time. You need more support from IMF, from like grants from developed countries. Your budget
Japan, US aid,
US grants. Not a womb. And they do tell me that's kind of go so no. You're a middle income country, yeah. So you want to for the tax and middle income country. More crowd, most of money day. More shamo. Intine, so I switch nearby. And I said now we have to find alternative source of the grants, yeah, nearby, yeah. Now you support your budget. Your budget be and who are coming since Nkrumah time. Yeah, balanced budget. Your budget be a deficit.
Yeah, I want to quick the kind of chair says that, but I don't understand why we are trying to spend what we don't have. No, we say ever compiling money do, but until we are, although said this party has spent a lot of money now, and your compound now I will draw also. Just say you doom so now. Yeah, an unlucky guy will come and be there and then
and it's going to continue. It's going to continue in the foreseeable future because the alternatives layer one is not that much. And then I'm capital market, you know, since you are I say a downfall. But you are downfall, you call capital market because if I do not have a just a countries now no more grants or matter so. And I want to know. Since you Ghana strategy, you say one person will develop your infrastructure, one person will develop one district, one factory. Kwame Sani man who discan it. Once we see Ghana will generate all money, mono. Since you are age now, and so Sani man in the one person yes, one person yes, Sani man interview. You want to build that capacity. So that's can be now. So about with problem when you are said. He was trying to use the capital market. Kwame, Makobo Busia cheap. Mediabe swappy existing economy extended period. No, SMDT cano. Intina cano, original cano 5 years. No, Kobo Busia ebe 15 years. Now mediabe 5 years. Let's just say, Sabusia na Makoisiano, no 15 years to what? To pay sa cano. And then we're creating room amano. Let's just say, we're teaming up border sa capacity no open. That was what they were doing, swapping. While they were borrowing, I mean, almost swapping, and almost borrow to finance or more campaign or design activities. They say one district, one factory, free in the high school. Sani money now no more yeah. And a full and to us. Sani man also it takes time, right? To see how you know, and the impact on the economy end fully because it will take time for the production to come. So it might take another 7 years for you to see this company be also what shall I say for now. It takes time for them to grow and begin to see the impact on the economy. The impact on the economy has not come. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of all this, you are hit by COVID, you are hit by pandemic. You can't go to the capital market and borrow money. Your debt levels are high. And cheap source of finance effectively it's been blocked out. I mean, so if you're a country now with NASA or the same in this place, your only best option is IMF and our World Bank.
Now IMF no. Well, my Capricorn, I said we didn't chat. Capricorn, you question and answer. You have something to add to this.
Yo, Kwame, me jamida me tasia mission de kakra.
Okay. If you know, all right. Now I was down Hanson, and I'm into us.
Yeah, me way kakra. My brother, last drop no or in and promise someone me. Never be sent there. In COVID, ye sketching. Basa ye bring na no banada. COVID is kaying in. Or such an busa yakobuni no bandane into me and solve Yanohua, essence Yanoko, IMF back because I was called my man. Scampo was man as COVID or such an more was my man. So
I think that your budget for 19 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
18 billion Ghana cedis. And according to finance minister, was spending 12 billion. And 6 years, your budget here, there be a budget here, else no. And not the support so budget. Okay, the kind of
say, must man there. Second easy. Yeah, I should be easy.
Say the car and not while you say budget no, yeah.
Yen we end.
Budget so that.
But Ghana government and the Bank of Ghana would chase Kakaso to a man. Also, over him. Young babies can affect
19 billion, I think. And I
Mebo, debut on one can.
I don't like money printing.
Yeah, money printing. No. At the same time, Mundesk is for Ghana. What did you ska? No, so was my banner. No, so I am one quantity 1 5 babies can cry. In the young Casadama, yes, Kedio, a man. Yeah, sorry. And I
think
the problem is our government is just too big and inefficient. 275 ministers, Supreme Court, said 13, America crying 9 was be 275 parliamentarians, ministers, 100 and something. All of them have their deputies, 3 deputies. Your friend is 4x4s, they have their 4x4s, they have their directors. I mean, so your government a lot of duplication in waste. It is a brain, your friend is salary of people who are not doing anything. Yes, just because a party here will pack the government with a lot of people. Because a party boy here, so we pack the government, which is very inefficient. And then sinking fund. They were charging a sinking fund because they said they're going to use it to repay part of our old debt. They were charging a store levy on our petrol because they said they were using it to bring down the debt of store. But all of it, there's no discipline. We don't use it to do what we expected them to be used for. And then, so we end up having to roll over our debts and then going to, the market to go and, roll over our old debt and then refinance them with cheaper debt. Everything we do, there's no discipline because the first thing is say, discipline, and you make sure say your government in the size near efficient and effective. You don't need 275 or however members of parliament. You don't need that many ministers. You don't need a minister for railway, minister for transport, minister for airport or whatever, aviation, and minister for Yeah, just I mean a lot of duplications. No, sikana ebenye ni nyina na yedikutia salary.
We are using it to run the government.
Yeah, it's your salary, which is not providing us any useful utility. It's your salary because your budget before your revenue no home. Everybody best 70% you know just goes to paying salary. Before I because they could a loan interest. I mean, scanning in your salary. I mean, your tax revenue you begin in your salary. I mean, what sort of country is this?
All right, let me move on. Go point 3. This is say no. IMF we are all praying. Hansen, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So now of our last submission he said Oko IMF before our corner a process. My friend say it take like maybe 3 to 6 months and some or more approve. Okay. Me what question man. So my friend said the last time I make Kaisi free IMF was 2019.
Yeah, April 2nd.
Okay, 2019. Which means say I was saying 2020. 2022, right? 2022, no, only 3 months. Say 2 years pay. And I'm going say this MPP government and I said government to your tissue. Or like on why in the budget and I said why you be on his own. So which means which means those 2 years no more you know not ye were issued already and now say and near me person me say not like Kruna to Adeja before and sana ye free IMF and a honomentias so betting ya chairman say kakra because time or move free so near 2019 into 2019 that's what so 4 or 5 years there ye call almost 8 years to say there not just not ye already just say ye pay I say command half time and I send back.
Dog, what's the question answer? And I think dog what me
Yeah, Matthias, yeah. So as somehow can who said IMF no 2020 you call 2014, right?
You call 2015 April. And I
2015. Can who said IMF you call 2015 $900 million, right? 918 around that number, right? Now and I know the support. The support Mahama buying. But 918 and you see call more buy at once, right? They don't bring the money to you all in one bulk. Say Janine now no. Almost 30 target now set more almost all by dictional. Near man also by no. I'm making sure that say meet is any money be no more this can be 300 million item. Abrow.
Come on.
They were disbursing it in tranches, depending on how effectively and now if you want to achieve our objective now no more set it happen. The end no more the control. By 2016, I to abani we na Ghana ye achieve IMF near money baby na set my on target no. The next government na buy no. IMF they don't deal with government, they deal with the country, right? So what I bind the work on it's a country program, right? Into the next government na buy no. IMF, you cannot just go and say, oh, minimum agreement be condition previous abine and no. You have to finish the program and meet that condition almost at amount and get that disbursement. So this government came in and they had to work to fulfill that condition. The NDC couldn't fulfill some of those conditions. It was the new government that finished fulfilling those conditions. And when they finish, like I said, it's a shame on the IMF for you when meeting near mana council by no. So what BTDR program now, you know, and one asama then baby. So it is not up to you to what to exit. What exit here? You can go in and access another program if you want. Yeah, exit we didn't really go in and access another program. And we decided that okay, this year exit to IMF for certain right? So we can go on our own and decide to do our own policy initiatives. So we went on our own, started doing our own policy then. Initiative. IMF after who said now 2019, 2020, even in 2020, if IMF COVID who can say IMF for this cabinet, they gave us $1 billion. $1
billion, yep.
Since at any IMF program, maybe program, and it's come just to support COVID and your program be asking your coin and on this condition issue where now this can get cab. So let's go with your brand 1 billion. So you can support COVID situation. On top of that, World Bank also might be Kakra. Now, almost I might be so on special drawing right. Special drawing right. SDR, right? Almost also count to support the COVID. But IMF usually they don't give monies like that for developing country. I remember it's kind of just a program in there. But because of COVID situation, they were able to do that. And on the area and I say no. Say because situation about when you then and the summer all about this all per se you have to come under a program. Like
okay, Nanaya. So which means maybe
Hansen, I think that has a question. From 2015 to 19, not Ghana a IMF from us, so we couldn't spend by heart. And now 2019 benefits. I think Hansen say, how can it be? Not your problem be even though I know IMF, your problems be what that now because until they say within 2 years, yet my break it down.
Well, now problems were because your GDP was growing, right? Interest rates, inflation, everything was coming down. So we're doing well. Even the IMF we were still doing well. GDP was about 7% or 5%. Interest rate had come down to like 7%, or the same. Inflation had come down to like 7% from I think 16 or 12%. And even Bank of Ghana rate had come down to about 14%, right? 12%. So we were doing well within that period. But
so what within the 2 years for us to just break that?
And I catch your COVID ban. Your GDP now is 7%. You came to 0.04. You moved from 7% to 0.04. That is a lot of economic activity you lost within a year. Within that year, you were paying workers, you were giving water to people, you were doing PPE, you were trying to, provide healthcare, materials to your people to sustain them in the COVID period. So period, you're not generating revenue. So that's kind of now gains
now from 2015 to 19.
Yes, because we're trying to manage this, anything because COVID has impacted us. And the IMF knows that. They know the data, they understand. You can't go to them and lie about these things, right? It's the data is there, it's clear. They can assess it. And you be able to do they can assess and see the trend.
But Matthias here. Any Kwame says so far Accra and also Mbeka and also impact the economy. No.
Of course, production affected. In short, economic activity in but then affected. But then and you're like permanent sustain idea. AC 6 months every one diameter, and just maybe 1 month. Into impact, you probably will not even feel it too much, but it has an impact.
Can I help a bit with the explanation here? What we are trying to say in this COVID is what's really affected the economy. But what the explanation here is that the reason is economy engineer and I so a very foundation any day. Into small shock could be a baby not affecting not any problem no. And the problem is your politicians only will not to solve the long-term problem. Internet COVID the buyer a GDP drop it shortly, because a economy yet resilient, yet diversified, very commodities based. You're very saying a huge informal sector which can be controlled, which can even be monitored. I mean, the economy it is a pre-industrial economy. It is a very old economy, 1930s US economy.
A caveman economy.
Yes, any small external shock could be not ajigon. And the problem is a government over government will be solve underlying problem. We just come and pay lip service and then gloss over it. And most of your growth comes from oil, commodities, petrol, gold, they say a number one exporter of gold to be and this and yet a near your control over. And most of those extractive economics, it doesn't even affect the average person because oil, no, you don't need 1,000 people to drill an oil well. I mean, you just need a few expatriates and they'll drill it, and then the only person who makes money is the government on its royalties and this thing. Yeah, is going back to foreigners to repatriate to their country. In the economy, so
what the culture initially.
Yeah, it doesn't even produce jobs.
Let's move to Hansen question quickly. So they say, Ochina, Omuko meeting you know, say I am a photo meeting wire. What are we going to do?
Kwame,
Okay.
that will not happen because I mean it is not a question of IMF saying to me more. IMF or MOBA, they assess the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The IMF, because you have Argentina done with Kuno, it's because you only need help like this, they can come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then otherwise, what is the point about Udomeku if they can't provide you help? No more promise or say do or more provider. So because of our contractual arrangement to begin with, the IMF is never going to say we can't help you because one open it within their domain to be able to provide it. It's part of their.
I mean, if I say countries who have for the past 5 years, they've been trying to get money from IMF by Emma. And you know,
well,
how are we pressure?
And anything I make a say, situation be country specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because IMF no quite, you have to go with the program. So we catch them say A, B, C, D. No, most access castle A, B, C, D now so be no. You think so we are everything about the stamp position. In this now you don't want to do so A, B conditional is now I can. And you know if IMF on about sometimes one policy out there come on and say we na person in here.
Yeah.
Or sometimes we create the narrative to make it look say IMF for no more than so. But you know, that is just a way for the politician to run away. Because politicians may catch your seminar and come and say, IMF, so I say no person now when you show the but IMF no man be church we mun because any politics and any internal politics. Into what you say politics no, so any man no koso. But no, and you na say so wa be yeah by no to abeka bibisa at no, the IMF will not double in that space. They are band back at you on one of the two so bit anywhere. But what band no mukushia no mudim common and casa. On one head, the coach say, when I'm a person, when I'm a person, when I'm a person. But what band about one back at you say, I'm a conditioner. It's
in the next say, Doc, no catch say. Our politicians know the solutions already. Because the solutions you know metro say, we are now I'm a okay, and they have one. Yes, sir.
Nobody sikata to show ya dia. What me discussing about? Into one say incentive war, you know, most per se. Money there. Police need on there. And the other now can say IMF and come so forever. I will need you now. I was happy.
Exactly.
But they can't be like that. They can't be with you forever.
They don't have that time.
Right.
Because sad me because Osha time from 2015, it didn't matter which party was on. I'm a free word and they start doing whatever they want.
Certainly, the man confidence, confidence, you know, because I'm say IMF bar things work out, right? I guess our confidence there can it doesn't come by the fact that IMF about it. People have seen, sir, whenever the IMF is in place like that, people stick to what they say they will do, and they do it.
So now, in a hypothetical scenario, IMF is not there to help us now. How are we going to pick ourselves up from this situation? Because
if the IMF is not there, it will be disaster because the Inter-American will be disaster. And they say you can manage. So you say Ghana, we are not in too much a bad situation, right? You can run this system for another 6 months, like the way things are going now, and everything will stay normal. IMF, Nyakasi me few up. Is here, you're the bonds, right? Your bonds, yeah, analysis your IMF, but so interest rate now where your bonds starting to say buffering. Because confidence have gone into the market, expectations have changed, right? Expectations drive a lot of markets. People expectations have changed. So IMF cost me to me more as high expectation will turn negative and your positive view. And the interest on our bonds will start going up. And if you start going, I'm not a do or see into a bit of will default. And once you default, that's big implications for you, right?
That's Sri Lanka for you.
Yes. So it will have a lot of ripple effect, but it might not happen immediately. It might take some time.
You can say okay to say you have to increase your taxes.
You have the option to do it, but is it politically?
Because what they
what may be a dog as well?
Go ahead.
It's a dog. In check what I catch my 6 months. Maybe you could show where you can cover. Okay, Mamunko, it is an Erica from 2007, and 7 MPP, but right. Not a one over the penny, and this phone one IMF no crying. No, what to move conto on a kakra. My what to survive you on one other 3 years in a wheelchair woman. Into 1-2 years now, IMF for crying on a way to win 100.
No, it's not. It's not entirely true. Kyle said, "Omobana and this for no IMF no. Omo target now. IMF and this for certain. MP for the big program now.
Into on MPP for no. Will come how many years? 2 years or 1 year?
No, they did it. MPP stay with IMF for is it 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
No, time no meet here. I'm almost extended by 1 year.
Yeah. It was then 1 year.
1 year, we almost extended. But not MPP phone were able to go to the capital market and borrow money, even when they were an IMF.
I see.
Yes, they were able to go to the capital market and borrow money. That is how come they were able to do their free senior high school or their major campaign project. Then I say phone now, and how would they be able to finance that? IMF 900 million a year. So it can't do some money now.
It's not. You think I say, sir, free HSC, and it's our free no matter they make. To say and watch it. It's baby, yet the scholarship scheme be depending on baby how free, any income level, and a very free amount. Yeah, Jumana, you will see Kaka crown, I teach school fees, Yamamut, and your service as a Kanaka. Government swap, your 5 ministers bear 200 to say you better Abia, your regional ministers or whatever. I'll take care of the regions. It's call cabinet ministers in Abia, you better by 10. Near no say Atiso Kakra. Now deputy directors 3, deputies 4, Ninya 3 and 1. Can't we just be disciplined enough to just shrink baby Ayedisikano? Now taxes Kakra to say minimum there I'm not in favor say NGG property tax in Vancouver national government. I'm totally not in favor. But you say you want the ABR for the next ABR 5 years the property tax. So to me, to tell your money in our the property tax in Vancouver national government. Now on Facebook can be na your own kakra. Can't we do that? And I say impossible.
Possible, but what we say, and it's the Yamaka say in politics, there are choices you make, right? And whatever choices you make, you have to live with them because that is how you have decided to allocate resources, right? Anything that Debia Mekacho said, citizens may tell my name. Say, Antia Mamuna Sini, who said, Sa choices, politicians, they make you impact, not young who do accountable. They always get their way out. Because how do you who decide free senior high school and the way it is now? It's somebody's political decision to make it that way, right? Somebody can come and change it around and say, no, I'm not going to do it this way. But what does that mean in terms of how it reflects in the vote?
So it all boils down to voting.
Why are they called politicians? What do they look for? Why are they in this game? They look for power, right? And the incentive of power sometimes makes some of the decisions not, I would say, fully economically a sound, but there are political nuances involved. And then you can say political economy. It is a person economics and quadia. Kwame, and Camino Barrett, and never be broadcast way if you and those are the hardcore stuff you have to do. When you want to talk economics, then you have to do the hardcore stuff. But if you want to talk political economy, then I'm sorry, you won't always get the hardcore economic, like strict principled. You won't get it because politics is infused in that process, and inefficiencies begin to what come in.
Okay, I just say democrats na very bad, you know.
Oh, democracy. That is one of the drawbacks about democracy. Democracy is perfect. Say, you have to manage some of these drawbacks. But yeah,
solutions in there. Me, I'm an economist. I've been able to say something. I'm really a bit more boy. I'm sure the government with all the economics, planets, no money, and they figure this out a long time ago.
You are comfortable here because nobody's going to vote for you. Nobody's going to determine your fate in the next election. So other considerations, doesn't affect you. But politicians.
What do you think about
that? You see, I really agree with him because that's where I always talk about the constitution and how to reduce the amount of discretion our politicians have. Because if statutory funds we give the finance minister the leverage to apportion it where he wants to sometimes and where he doesn't want to. Now, in say very strict, the politicians will have no option than to do what we want them to do with the money. Yeah, but
politicians are smart too because not too long ago we made some adjustment to the constitution. I just say finance minister won't mean spending more than 5%. But
nobody covered the exception. And they really covered an exception. Yeah, and then they raised the what do you call it? They raised it. But you see, the more what do you call it? The less discretion they have, the more they are forced to do the right thing.
Right, that's true.
At this juncture, we manage Ghana. Our constitution is written like it's going to be managed by white people, but our culture is different. In our culture, you always have an elder looking over the shoulder of the king. You need somebody to keep the politician in check. That's why we only do well. What?
Anything at IMF, if IMF is about the moment,
exactly, because discipline, we don't have that internal discipline. So we always need something. Either we have to write it in the books to reduce their discretion or have somebody to oversee us. Because at this rate, we can't wait for politicians in and say, oh, they say they are sacra, we will be looking long term. That one we'll have to wait forever. So we'll have to find a way either to twist to reduce the discretion in the constitution so that it makes a lot of things statutory and a lot of things more straightforward, and reduce the laxes in the system so that it will force them to, because it's our culture. Yeah, we are the Kwekwanansi people. Kwekwanansi, so it doesn't do anything directly. We are indirect, backhand, and so yeah. So our constitution has to be written for Kwekwanansis. Our constitution should be written for.
Me share Ghana ma setna motimu na me say munyina mo a bunch of this honest people na moti krumo and I'm pretending say nothing is happening. It is no krena yendi ma unity e be bress I told somebody that me share ahotre e wo Ghana na me share mo akete na mo di Ghana na it doesn't match my lifestyle. So how are you guys surviving in that system?
They are magicians.
They are all corrupt in some way, doing some other things other than the new, because all the mathematics, the economics don't work out. But for some reason, these people are able to sustain those lives.
Kwame Ghana some no, yeah, can say so eti say you can say you come back to the old system say obi medi or my offer soldier by medi or minus one. Sound normal way in a bit near structure if you near constitution of overall.
Master, the experiment is hard to be there. You're back some.
Highly volatile.
Because democracy
back any day we can propose this kind of IMF.
So that by your experiment to be though, the okay, yes, you be though. Yeah, you're back some. Fortunately, your experiment never be brave.
I am very 6 times.
Yeah, what is that here? Indeed, the okay, you're confirmed by what about whatever because no, we will be a monk crowd. Yes, I'm going to be from that.
The democracy, your problem is we just copied the British and American system. We didn't analyze ourselves to see, oh, this is our culture. Send it here in the sense they say Toronto. Yeah,
I mean, bringing in the British one. I think to say no, from what you guys are saying, no, and then never why. Because in the British system, no, one president can rule for about 17 years if we keep on voting for their party. Now one could in someone name or man as party leader. Obetimi at the swatch. So yeah, the American system would this 2 times per then you have to be kicked out.
Yeah, we have to find a way to make it a system. There's no democracy which is the same as the other country. Every country be our different democracy. You have very young democracy, but each one a bit more parliamentary system, a bit more they almost say almost friend hybrid. The point is they say when we were creating ours, I'm sure you should buy and create a constitution, no. A brown for constitution a copy, and I'm from Muslim different from quick one and say for I can say a constitution to block any to reduce the discretion that our constitution has too much power in the center to the to the president and the executive, and it gives a lot of discretion into the power. And they say because there's so much discretion, the power is even more powerful than the parliament and the judiciary combined, who are supposed to even check him. Because he appoints most of them and then he gives them most of their salaries, also he approves them. So the system so yeah, so basically that's where the problem comes in. It's like we really have to, because you don't design systems, humans for systems. You design systems for humans.
What person who they are in real life? Let's look at the experiment that we have now. Hang parliament, but I told them you don't know what you're talking about. With this system, if you think that hang parliament can save you, even if you have the minority being the dominant party in parliament, with our executive system, they will still be hampered.
Oh yeah, you'll be just driving around them.
And that should tell you the effect of system now running. And no should tell Ghanaians say system now running has implications on your mambo na yebu. Because power is so much under Kwakukan. It's so much constrained in the executive. What the optional man na opposition, no, one party should have majority in parliament and the other party wins the presidency. We'll come back and
they'll be running around them.
Yeah, because president has a lot of power. He can manipulate them and get his way through them. And we'll still come back and we'll be here where we are. But people thought that things were going to change. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think this constitution was made for a gentleman. Say, being a gentleman, you know, I'll be there. Now, overcast me, yeah, young point. And that's our part there. And I mean, political party, so mind you, almost will change my pressure because we are there, I'm feeling some lose power. They are not going to allow you, even if you're a good person, they're not going to allow you to do it. You know? Raouf.
Yeah, Kwame.
Oh,
okay. Me pesa me kaka. Me da se pa. Me de se masa beto yaw ewa ha sei. Enra I think say enra na me to me enwie na hoso nipa ne doso. Na onim dia yaka kosi nyina ne say these politicians did not come for the well-being of the people. That is ninyina no. Because the power na eba be di unsem. Na wo na wo power e wo say otumi this is sanema. Na say wo nse sanema. Not just a one but for the people. That's the basic way, you know. So what I say, because politics now, no, at the frontier politics, no, basically you come together and you taking collective decisions. You set a priority. Of course, nipa 35 million and 40 million. Obia or the open. But you share the majority of the people, then the matter to say mun decide my. And it said obi in I mean economic team no economics call him back in the no. And he add the at the basics. No. Omo fan to akwemu said the Ghana because of course global catastrophe be back whether a force majeure and another act of God and another Ukraine and Russia aircon effect will be as at the time be no obia ehhehhe de niam said the saa niam ne ba obeso obia or buffer obia or bibia or ya or the person e sit there na bibifo nko ade chese bibia mfa ye ho ana because say ye wo obia or say a friend of IMF. I mean, politics and as a nation building, a deliberate endeavor, and ye also, the Omo de Abeto Hose Omo Beye reshuffle. I mean, are you serious?
Reshuffle? Not reshuffle. I cry a cut on someone. Yes.
Now, this is the whole thing. Sometimes you're taking it maybe for granted. And then a reshuffle. Okay, Kwame, a finance minister. Yenny Kwame, near Fanenko energy. Yenny energy, Nayan Fanenko gender and way. Yenny gender, near Fanenko. Look, a dear acquire lucky, ever your chrome, a meritocracy. Yemfa merit, and yes, she. And Nuntina say, Obiye, and Obiye lawyer, untumin kase, or China. Because of your lawyer, no, one perform me into Yemfanen as an economist. It can never happen. Baumia, and to me, I dear Mechima Baumia Mekasa or your medical. For the five for way or knowledge for way education. Basically what is going to happen is that wow who here I am
yeah, you call
America. I'm for the one who going to your baby in a field. And they say, wow, home by a dinner, a good for the Pewasem, no, yet the old barbe coho. Not just basically in Kofa, no, Homon Julie, the average person who Anna Omonia ready so more censorship, both NDC and NPP. Obia ni ho be they say IMF Eddie way back. Basically the children say as a Accra Wako school na wa born na yama wapo because IMF Chicano Deban is basically like a cheat sheet. Na ye children na teacher ni say jina kon so hwe ne children ye o chira na o hwe na say what 1 to 100 o hwe na wadu be 70. Okay, they say they may be sure. Oja, or chain one who said, oh, my 30 naka, no more dinning, no matter say 17. Now, within few years, no matter how. Are you serious? Anna, when the money you who say, and for now, more from now, more preno. I don't know who know. She flats are AC are cry. That ensure to me. I said, look at this young quan, this young quan, yes.
I think 3 times. Yeah. You don't try July,
so, as to your town and country planning. Oko more office a computer back currency or minima dia or short of their planning.
Now, Sunyana West planning. Oh, Sunyana West planning, they also know on coffee to original this in the
So now now say what do you call it? Regional minister around a buku structure.
Yeah, this
almost started so almost structures no. And I'm sure more sitting in a blocking you know. After the back no, ye baby bubuno. Because the government line.
Nyame bɛyɛ fɔ no
millions of
saa.
cities.
Nyame bɛyɛ fɔ no
Yeah,
saa.
Baba say
Nyame
no.
bɛyɛ biribiara.
Enti Jack, e kura ye di sika ye de be si hwe sika ye di be si cathedral no. Ministries 13 a budget. Ministries 13 budget. Yen ka se cathedral nye. Me say me nyeska mesia sorry dan. Me personal but say me be your president any kwan say me personal issues ever than national issues. So asam na ye kan bi no. So wo hwe economy a ba omi abe explain abe kika ni nyina de kosia nyina ne say ye kuro no ye produce hwe ye ni hwe ana ye nye ya dwen to say ye be ye hwe because papa IMF say yere so a ye kwa o mo be ma ye kakra de ye kwa kwaje de so more than half of it will be to service old debt. Because debt no ye ni kotuaka enti asa me de kwa me ka o se wa sha me Tuesday me hwa me nya na makwaje bi wo nana ya ho na me de abetua kwa me de no at a higher rate crowd na me sa de nana ya oka na masa akobo kofika che me omonye omadwin so omo be because who say who country omo pese omo ye bibia and che de na ebi mo ka no constitution no emoyen na nkrofo na constitution na emoyen no omo be sesa no omo a no omo si kwan no so
Raul, the picture I painted and I said we should just give up.
I say
you don't have to give up.
I say
as former Rahuf Kai, one of your biggest problem power Ghana. Politicians,
well-meaning Ghanaians, we have to find a way because Kwame, once say armed robbery started cost Ghana.
A science started, yep.
A science started being. Say, oh dear, say Yenka Obi Krabe attack you now. This can be Chauna. Oko, imagine for baby to say Kumasi. NDC MPP, you know, say election nearby. Almost be health work. No more, almost a fair health work. No much t-shirt. No more ye did. Health work no say onamu kra onako shega more health work ni ma. Masa fa emergency apart from Komfuanochi. Ana ebia ye do come and share Rebecca say fa the whole Kumasi o. The whole Kumasi.
Health work no dey for to masa jai.
So Kumasi asem kra na chese de ya
e ko twisoloku.
Wo de ya na me nwanwane say state companies wo ho nyina so fiti Jerry eba ya toni nyina. Now only the funny thing, ya ton so pena ye yo she Ghana Telecom.
Vodafone.
They made it seem say Charlie ade de ye cry it's ya ton. But Vodafone is making money. She 11 year o must achieve. And then I was say Bank of Ghana yes.
Raul Fahoma article. I think we've got only 3 minutes right now.
The canning in Ababa Bank of Ghana. Jama MTN Anna MTN Nano Crano Omu Bunipa Dada because Sikabako most and there I mean so we'll send this 10 times you will lose more than 50% of it. And Nini Nana MTN. But I no Omon I know the 11. And Jack, they say no. Crony dear Jack, say I'm sorry, no hope. And a constitution, so said the I no. Jack. While they share a year the court, look at what happened. They say all the court so Omoan or Motitiho. Oba no appointed a
judge. They say yes,
not attorney general. Now as I offer special prosecutor. Now as attorney general, a whole attorney general to me in the special prosecutor ready. So police phone you know Majuma, damn pareba copeno over heading. Then a damn parebe. Anti crony the Jack Edding. say yan sorry there emu be din because crude oil no won't say America have a price in for more. But Ghana say open crama Ghana say my crude oil barrel enko $60. There is no way I better so accord that level no. And a near my prices new a beer anywhere better I from baby I can no. So what you say? And oil no crap. What you say? They say a keep 3 points new way you know. Now you I think 12 or 11%. 13% maximum. That oil. And until so what say a net importer of oil can answer what can be my because oil on the she and basically say I didn't know come now 13%. When you say when you're cranky. So what I say, Auntie Jack, Omone dear, Omonia ready say Omo be your money because and yes, baby a Canadian Charlie. Hope no low. And Anna, all their show look at the alternative. The alternative is NDC. Vivi anywhere, but they are the same point, just the different sides. It's the most
yes. Raul, you did NDC bar on between our bears 123 to 127 minutes now.
Oh, the over who can have no money be a account. But Ghana should not have more than 10 ministers.
No. After having regional ministers, we shouldn't have more than 10 minutes.
No.
Kwame, why parliament like conversation? It should not even be from the executive only, right? Executive parliamentarians. Why should we have that number of parliamentarians in Ghana?
275.
275.
Why?
That's also too much. 275. Now we're reaching.
I mean, Mr. Mo, 275. Is there a way we can reduce that and ask this for referendum?
I mean, Omochicha district, you cried there, would you agree on Mobesa the Biaka? Because they say you're bad, more. You're better more. They say,
it's a product of your constitution, right?
I make say if you want to reduce the number,
the only way now would be either a Supreme Court annuls that provision and it takes retroactive effect, or in worst case scenario, they overthrow Parliament and then dissolve Parliament and we create a new Parliament. We start all over with a new constitution.
Yeah,
new Parliament because we are so I'm not sure 500.
So, Anna, we are parliamentarians in our so many teachers' salary.
How do you able to be servants?
Some of them are bad, but Africa, Kwame. Me nimsa say obi ebe serve they will spend money to serve you. Me who be that? Because of the omubenyanti. On say na ye kasa na na ya any kasa no be eka because I was all balancing economics and politics. The pressure, the main aim na ni say obe power ni here no because power is kawo. So what I say, me MPP by Jack, me boy be pa Jack. Our vice president office, I know him personally. Massa, the way boys say yes no.
When you know.
Oh, you the one.
When Chelsea.
I'm to New York. Massa, jai. I friend me say a contract. Contract necessary. I just a 10%.
Anyway, I said the time now. You know, I mean go around quickly now. Ubia my very soon. Yes, I'm here my Thursday. I'm wrapped up one we be driven the real to go. Inti Ochina Nebesino. Now whatever IMF will say, now discussing the next Thursday. But the situation is that I mean, from what people said initially, now Daniel, Rauf, I mean, Hansen question, And that was the questions. No cry. I'm on much church. I'm on me. Say, maybe you're doing it there. This is your baby. It's no. Be a my. Be a 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Nah, you include. Nah, you we start from Hanson. Hanson.
Wode offer ya ne okwaku ye da mo asese ene mo be support yi. My question back where me bisa Ghana for ni nyina ne say ma who say Black Star no o mo afa me fa ne say I say France national team no mostly no abrochirefo na ekobo World Cup na maye it say football and I'm offering abrochirefo say omo meboy na Monte Ghana for anymore. Agree say aban no so ye chichiri kuro no omo fa abrochirefo na yeso ye nyere ye go chichiri oman di.
All right, has to get up for you.
Hansen, and no one know. Dual citizenship. When we say I'm say I found this and this nipper on the court and now before I'm say at the Musa Candy. I want to visa all one barber job with Jumana. I want barber in the print, you know. I won't put it. They will even fight you. They will even fight you. Don't you cry? You know. Interest. They feel threatened, right? Because one of the ideas how they banning them out they ban. No, he doesn't have maybe that exposure, right? Into the who are waiting can confidently say, yeah, man. What catch and acquire and say which, right?
Yeah.
And you know, system there running the MSA. The armor me my a little bit this time and say, like if he said they be a cultural come say in economics in your fee be structural conduct performance. Structural conduct performance. SCP. What it means is the engineer found maybe you can relate to this more. The structure dictate the conduct and then it dictates the performance.
That's absolutely correct.
The structure that you build will dictate a certain kind of conduct, and that kind of conduct will produce a certain kind of performance. Structure is dictating a certain kind of conduct for the way politicians act, the way people act in the system. And that is dictating the kind of performance you see over and over. In this structure, now you rely on structure, forget it. You're not going to have any new outcome. You're going to see this performance repeat and repeat over time. Temporarily, things will slow down, but with time it will come back again. In the structure involves not just economics, but also the politics, the power arrangement within the country. The economic arrangement now has to play well together. We are already messed up when it comes to the political power arrangement. And economic power arrangement, no structure now. So when you combine these two, Kwame, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you what the outcome should be, right?
That's true.
The ball is in
all right. That's quick. Your mic is mute.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree with what Nanea is saying, actually. I mean, because at the end of the day, if we don't have a system that motivates us to do the right thing.
Oh, me too. Now, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So at the end of the day, if we don't create a structure that incentivizes people to do the right thing, we'll go around in circles. I mean, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, in Ipadi, we perform based on our incentives. I mean, actually, our system is so bad that sometimes I even wonder how, because even when you go lower into the government offices, if I say directors, below the directors, they are not, even how do we pay them? They are not paid on performance basis. So you can't even measure you don't even measure their productivity to pay them. And we don't pay them on a bonus structure. We do the same thing for our politicians. They are not paid based on their competence, nor on on their performance. It's all being paid. It's a flat rate, whether he performs or the person performs or doesn't perform. The whole system is structured in a way that you can be lax and you still survive in the system. You don't need to do anything positive and you still be rewarded in the system. So until we change the system to be a system of meritocracy and performance, we are not going anywhere. I mean, yeah.
Okay, now was it.
Yo, Madasi. Kwame kakra motu making. As the Dama solid to me, as I could match him was 10-0. What third match I have maybe Ghana for busy Teddy. As I said, the same team as a couple match, I shall be saying I mean, Manesi, Michiam or Ghana.
Yeah. Capricorn. Capricorn still spectating now here. All right, really, for and then for that. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Namia Aduma Thursday. We'll continue with this conversation after IMF, whatever IMF will come up with. Namia Aduma Thursday, Bishop. Hopefully, Kuku and Doc will join us. And I'll see if I can get another person else to join us or not. You've been a politician, be man joining us, and also watching what he thinks we can go. We can do to help this thing. Help this solve this quagmire, because all these experts are saying is there. Let's just say go baby out. Next Thursday, 7:30, we shine right here. Thursday, and then it will be us.